Welcome to part 2 of the video series about how we built our super insulated house that we're living in. This part is all about the foundation work. If you enjoy these videos, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. I often get asked, why did I reuse the old foundation? It was falling apart. Well, the answer is that there's a bylaw in this town that says you need a minimum of 200 feet of road frontage. We didn't have that at this property. So this whole project is actually considered a renovation. If I had tore down the original foundation, I would not have been issued a building permit. So we reused the old foundation, but I got a structural engineer who's a friend of mine involved with the project, and he made sure that I put in enough rebar and enough concrete. This thing's not going anywhere. But if you look down it, which is why I set up the shot this way, you can see it's wavy. So the wall itself is not square. I squared the wood frame of the joist, but the foundation wall is not square. But I did make sure that the foundation wall is level at the top and that the center of gravity is right over the footer. So I hope you enjoy. Our septic tank is located over here, and it was replaced in 2008. There was a PVC coming in, and then there was a cast iron inside the house. I ripped out the cast iron, and I just brought up the 4-inch PVC right there with a shallow sweep 90. So here we're installing a perimeter drain. We're going to give it a slight slope downhill the whole way. Get some more stone in there. So with all this help, we've really been knocking out the perimeter drain as we've been going along. And here we've got the pipe buried in the gravel trench. Now we've got a good overlap of landscaping fabric over the gravel. And here's what it looks like, backfilled and compacted. And we're still spreading out the sand base. We also epoxied in everything here because this was capped with concrete. Now we're not epoxying the rest in because they're open cores, so we can put the rebar and concrete directly into the open cores. Here we're mixing our own concrete. We have gravel, sand, we got 5 sacks of cement. So our footer is poured at this point. Had missing pieces or something, so I filled it with concrete and put the board up just until the concrete hardens, because I gotta fill the cracks. So this is where we left things last night. I've been cutting individual block to the high point of the foundation. So I've been using the water level there in the middle to find the points. Basically, we started over at this corner, and I've been cutting the individual blocks, gradually getting bigger and bigger as we need. Now here there was a jump in the original foundation, but I continued the height across.
Closer look at Grace and John working on this foundation, pouring the mortar inside the cinder blocks. And we have David over here. He's cutting the cinder blocks to the exact height. And again, there's Kurt in the background. And again, we have Alaina and Mark marking off the inside measurements. It's Grace in the background, John in the background. And loading the mixer. David's checking the depth of the holes. Mortar. Grace and John are filling in the foundation blocks with mortar and trying to make everything nice and level.
We've leveled this wall. It's finally level. Surveyors also checked the strings and they found that at the very most I was 2/10 of an inch off. I got one course done on both walls. Now there's an 8-inch step over there, as well as over here. Never did this before, but it sure was fun. Went a lot easier than trying to cut each block like that, along that sill there. Man, starting out with the level footer makes all the difference. Notched out because the top is going to be a bond beam. So I basically cut and broke off the webs in the middle there so that I can pour concrete through that whole top. But I went ahead and I strung a line down between the two, so now I'm going to start laying block to that line. It's just something I read about. That's what they said to do, so I'm giving it a shot. So I'm going to fix this corner. I put up some temporary forms. I'm going to fill it with concrete, and I also put a bunch of rebar in there. This corner came out well today. As you can see, we filled the gap with concrete. So now that's ready to take a block on top of it. And we've been filling all the cores with concrete. So basically went down the line and straightened out this wall because we had some bowing inward, overhanging and stuff. And I don't know if you can see that on this camera, but basically because of the overhanging that was happening, took some time and brought the wall back where it should be. So now it's nice and straight. Here's Alaina. Alaina's giving it a shot.
So here's the bulkhead area. We took it down with the jackhammer so that it's just below grade, and we'll be able to fill it in with dirt and sand and make it all even, so when we insulate there won't be any weird bumps or dips or anything. So first time for David and I using the jackhammer.
And now it's all gone, as if it wasn't there. So the end of another day. Basically did the second course over on those two sides. I got a little bit there on the third course, and I finished the fourth course on that wall. The third course on all the walls, and we're prepped for the fourth course. Spread out the sand. My dad did that some more today. Looking down the line, I'm following the curve of the wall because that's what I got to do. I can't make it straight and overhang too much. But over here I did do it a little bit. So I have a slight overhang here, but just a little bit so that I centered it over the bottom course. just so that the weight load is coming straight down. Not so much about straightening out the wall, just to, you know, it was just to keep the weight load over the bearing point. That's it.
What are you guys doing over here?
We're leveling the sand. David's going to be getting about 3 inches of grout pour over the whole thing. So we want to make sure it's level before he gets that.
What sort of tools are you using? High-tech gear here?
High-tech gear. Yeah, we've got a 1930 2x6, taken from the old house, still straight as an arrow. And that's precise enough for what we're doing.
Yep.
And nice level.
We've got Sarah and Kurt here digging the trench. Sarah's wielding that pickaxe and Kurt's got the shovel. So she's basically digging up the dirt around the foundation and Kurt's getting it out of the way. But she's going to get this done. She's digging up the dirt. She didn't mean to do that. She's not going to knock down the wall.
Yeah? Cool.
Got David and Alaina putting up some blocks here. Just put some mortar on and I think David's going to set it down real carefully right over that well-positioned rebar thing. I think that's what it's called. And he's got the string there to keep it in place. Not to keep it in place, but to know what he's doing, where to put it. Very precise.
Don't want the house to sag.
It's very riveting. Pick things up from here, put them down over there. And basically the reason behind this is so that the cement truck on Monday, I think it is going to come through, and we're hoping that it can actually back right up straight to here and pour the concrete right into the house as opposed to going bucket by bucket.
Dug out, the old water pipe was corroded, and that's a 2-inch sleeve that the new tube can go through. I've got all the rebar in, all the block done. We're currently cutting little jigs to hold the anchor bolts. I'm using 12-inch long, so I'm wire tying it to the rebar, and there's the J going down into the core, and all this is going to be buried in concrete. So code says that I need one of these within a foot of the corner. So I have that. I need it within a foot of seams and no more than 6 feet apart.
Well, we've got the cement truck here. We've already filled all of the cores. And now he's putting it into the middle of the house where we'll have our concrete slab. We have David right there. We have Preston and John in the back, and then my dad here. So we've got the concrete down, and now David is floating the concrete after we've screed it to make sure it's level. And what's the technique here, David?
This is the bowl float. Technique is stop screwing up.
Pretty much goes at one angle when you go out, and then when you come back, it's another angle so that it's nice and smooth. We do that all on the base of our crawl space. Yay. He was here. Yay. Thanks for your help.
We've got everything that's hardened, and over here we cleaned off any bits of concrete that fell when we were pouring the wall. And Alaina is putting on our damp proofing material. We've been putting the damp proofing on. Thank you everybody for watching the video. As you can see, things definitely were not ideal in this build, but we made it work. We had to deal with the hand we were dealt. A structural engineer did sign off on this, so it's not going to go anywhere. The next video in the series is going to be about the tricky process of the crawl space vapor barrier and a couple of things that we had to do unique about the mud sills to make the framing square. Thanks for joining me, and if you enjoy these videos, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. See ya.